All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode. So today we're going to be setting up an inflatable paddleboard. I kind of just want to run through a couple things on whether or not it's effective for somebody who might not have enough space in their car to take a real paddleboard, or maybe doesn't have enough money to buy a legitimate paddleboard. So I've done a couple of things, kayak fishing wise. I'm always on a paddleboard. I don't have a boat, so it's very easy for me to get on the water with this method. And now with this whole coronavirus thing, it's a lot easier for us to just get on a paddleboard, hop out and find new fishing spots, or just go out and chill. So I want to run through a couple things that are good and bad about the, in this case it's called the Serene Life paddleboard. But in general, I just want to talk about inflatable paddleboards. They're very, very similar across all brands. So I went ahead and purchased this paddleboard, and we're going to talk a little bit about the stability, the price, and basically if it's overall effective or a substitute to a kayak or paddleboard. So let's get right into this, guys.
Okay, so this is exactly what comes with the typical paddleboard, inflatable paddleboard setup. You got your pump, your bag to transport, and the board itself. So that also comes with a regular carbon fiber paddle in my case. And this is basically all you need to get started. So let's continue.
So first thing first, we're going to unwrap the board. It's very easy to wrap it up and put it into that bag. So this is the first thing you want to do right here. Unwrap the board. Right here is where you would plug. This little area right here is where you're going to be plugging your pump. So I'm going to show you a close-up of that, but basically it's very simple. You plug the pump in, human power, pump it up, and it'll basically kick out and tell you no more air on the board, and that's the limit of air, or PSI, I guess, that goes into the board. So let's get on it. All right, so now the next step is plugging your pump into the board. So what you're gonna wanna do is make sure that these two latches grab onto the little bracket that's inside, and that makes it airtight. So now I pull it, nothing happens, it won't come out. Now if you forget to put this in place, what's gonna happen is the air is gonna leak out because I can pull it right out. This little grip right here is to keep it airtight. So what you do is put it in, twist it, and now it's airtight. Now that air is not going anywhere. So that's your first step, plug in the pump to the paddleboard, and now you're ready to get some air in. Okay, so now comes the fun part. What we're gonna do is go ahead and start pumping in. It takes quite an amount of pumps to get this inflated, so I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward it and basically just show you guys exactly how I'm doing it. Okay, so we're halfway through right now. It's not super easy to pump up, so I kind of wanted to take a halfway break and show you guys where I'm at, more or less halfway after 50 something pumps. There is a little bit of resistance, but it's not impossible. So level of difficulty 1 to 10, I'd say like a 6 or a 7. Definitely not impossible, but I broke a sweat. If you're not into like exercise, definitely don't buy this board because it does get a little bit difficult towards the end. But let's go ahead and finish this up. Okay, so as you can see, finally finished. It's all pumped up. As you can tell, I'm sweating and breathing hard. So it's not like it was impossible, but it wasn't super easy, not gonna lie. I don't know if it's maybe this brand only, Serene Life, that it's a little bit harder than usual. But this brand at least, and I hear they're all almost identical when it comes to the setup. So I guess it's not impossible, it's not super hard. You're not gonna wanna do it every time, at least on my end. But for the price, I guess you can't really beat it. You get to get on the water. I'll be able to take this out, and I guess you get a little workout in. So it's not a horrible deal. It's just a little bit hard. And I guess if you're not really trying to break a sweat or something like that before you actually paddle, this might not be the option for you. Maybe you should invest like in an actual non-inflatable, paddleboard that you just drop in and take off. But like if you're looking out for a workout or you don't really mind the extra pump, it's really not that bad. So now we're basically done inflating the paddleboard. I've noticed that it's extremely light once it's inflated. I'd say lighter than it is when it's deflated. Super light. Basically anybody can carry this. You could be a child and carry this no problem. So let's get on to the second part, which is adding this fin, which is really cool concept that they came up with. The board itself has 2 built-in fins right here. As you can see, 1 fin, 2 fin. This always stays on the board, and they give you this other fin to put right back there as another way of, you know, staying on course and not, you know, actually being able to tread water. So it's really cool how they include a hard fin, although these are actually hard as well, to help with the stability of the boat. So far really cool, can't complain. You know, it is what it is as in terms of price and inflating it and deflating it, but if you don't have space for this, it's really cool to just kind of wrap it up and go ahead and do it. But let's go ahead and install this little piece here. For the hard fin, this piece right here, there's 2 little, I guess, indentation for these 2 metal pieces, and this kind of just keeps it in place. So what you're gonna do is go ahead and put it right in there, slide it up so it's locked in, and then basically put it into that crevice. Now it's kind of flush, everything's just flush perfectly. And then there's a little screw here that you just screw in, and it screws into the back of the board into a little slit. Look at that, sweating like crazy. Definitely a workout. And once that's in, you're basically ready to go. So this is the final product of the board. Perfectly intact. You got your 2 stationary ones, your portable fin, and your leash, which is, you know, basically good for, you know, rough water. If you're out in the ocean, throw the leash on your ankle and you're pretty much solid. The board's always going to be by you. Okay, so the board is finally ready to get in the water. Took me about 20 minutes tops, and that's with filming and making sure everything's in place. So I think somebody who knows what they're doing can get this ready to go within 10-15 minutes, no problem. So right now what I'm gonna do is take it in the water and try to see if it's stable enough for fishing and stable enough for basically just relaxing on it and doing what you would do on a paddleboard. So we're gonna do a quick water test. Okay, so board's in the water. By the looks of it, it's gonna be a little bit harder stability-wise on getting onto the board as a normal paddleboard, which was, you know, that was given. I knew that would probably be an issue, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to get on here and see how bad it really is, or how good it is. Let's see. Okay. Not terrible. Let's not stand up just yet, but it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. From on my knees. Right now I'm on my knees, your typical knee paddle. Speed is pretty decent. Every single stroke though, on a normal paddleboard, my board wouldn't be swaying that much every time I paddle, which is why I like them for fishing and stuff. This board, it seems to be very, you know, loose. Let's see about standing up here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No sir. I don't know. It's not super stable. I wouldn't want to take this out to the Everglades where there's gators and stuff, which I was thinking of doing this video at actually. But it's like, look, right now I'm not trying to wobble like that. It's just wobbling on its own. And if I were to be casting a rod, if this was a rod, I guess you could, but it's a little sketchy. It's not terrible. It's not horrendous, but it is what it is. I guess it's a really cheap way to get on a lake. Like if you want to go bass fishing and you want to try a new spot, this is a pretty cool way of doing it. But it's not that stable, not gonna lie. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more stable. I could end up in the water here easily. And that's not something you want to say when you're fishing in an area where there's a lot of, you know, crocs or gators or whatever. You want to stay dry, or if you have a camera like I do right now. But moral of the story here, if you want a cheap way to get on a lake and you want to spend a couple $100, sometimes even less, I recommend it. I would definitely do it. But if you're looking for something like really stable, you want to throw a cooler on it, you want to go fishing, which is what I want to do, just not with this board. I knew I wasn't going to do with this board even before. I don't think it's really highly recommended just because it is so unstable, I guess you could say, in the case scenario of fishing, where you're moving around, you're gonna bend down every now and then. I wouldn't get this board. I would just save up your money and get a legitimate board on OfferUp, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, something like that. As far as being like your, you know, more low-key kind of person, and you're just going out there to enjoy the view, you know, kind of get away from the house for a little bit or whatever, and you don't have space to put a big paddleboard, I guess this is a pretty good option. You know, expect to get wet, expect to fall in. Getting on and off the board isn't impossible. I just did it dry. I have no case on this camera, so it would have been bad if I did fall in, but it's not terrible. It is what it is, you know? That's the best way I could put this. And now I'm gonna do a couple little stability things, so yeah. I mean, I'm not, you know, trying to like showboat or anything or like brag, but I have pretty decent, you know, balance. But I guess someone who's maybe a little bit more heavy set or doesn't have the greatest balance, definitely do not buy this board, 100%. And I've seen it firsthand, actually. I have a buddy who's, you know, he probably weighs 240 now, and I wouldn't want to deal with the super instability of this board. You know, I've seen him on it actually, and it's a little scary. He falls in left and right. So if you're over, I don't know what this board is rated for, but I'll put it below right now. If you're over that weight, do not buy it. And I've seen a guy who's, like I said, 240, and it wasn't in his best interest to be on it. So if you're near that, you know, ballpark number, try to see if you get yourself a bigger boat. But setup was easy. Setup wasn't bad. It was pretty easy to get on and off the board. It's cool for canals and stuff like this. I think I would take it out on a canal like this and go fishing for sure, any day of the week. Like I feel confident maybe putting a rod under those little brackets right there, and just going out to a canal like this. There's no wake. Now when a boat passes by, I might just go, you know, to my knees there. But other than that, I don't think I would be taking this anywhere where there's, you know, dangerous wildlife. And not because I think they're going to be threatening. I just think, you know, if you fall in, it's not in your best interest to be in the water with a gator. It's probably not a good idea. Right now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and rate the board in a couple categories that your avid paddleboarder might want to know about. So in terms of steadiness, stability, I would give it I think a 6 out of 10. And I'm not rating it with other boards. I'm just rating it in general. You know, on stability on the water, in terms of fishing, in terms of relaxing, I would give it a 6 to 7 out of 10. I don't think it deserves an 8 or anything above, and I don't necessarily think it deserves a 5 either. It's not terrible. In terms of, you know, overall ease in setting it up and putting it in the water and enjoying the board, I would give it an 8.5. And the only reason I'm not giving it a 9 is because that pumping action for me wasn't terrible, but for somebody else, I think it would be pretty rough, you know, to do that. Especially when there's a lot of, you know, things that could go wrong, not here in this place, but in other places, you know, you don't know wherever you're gonna be, and it takes that long to get the board out on the water. Could be a pain in the butt. And in terms of overall paddleboard usage, like in terms of everything overall, I would say probably I would give it like a 7 out of 10 in terms of paddleboard. And that is comparing to other paddleboards and whatever. But that's not bad. Like, this is a fraction of the cost of 90% of these paddleboards and kayaks that are out there. It's not a terrible board, and it's not the best board. The reason I ranked it an 8 is mainly because of the price and the ease of use. It's a really cool deal, and the fact that I'm out here for less than 500 bucks is pretty cool for a brand new product. So definitely a sweet little board. Right now I'm gonna do a speed test. I realized I didn't do something to kind of show you how fast it goes. And I'm on my knees, and I'm going pretty fast by pumping it. And people don't really care about speed on these things typically, but when I'm fishing, I'm always in a hurry. So this is probably the speed I would be wanting to take it. And it's not terrible, it's actually going pretty fast. And I'm on my knees right now. So considering I'm on my knees, it's not that bad. And I noticed it's a little bit better about swaying left to right when you're going a little bit faster, or maybe because I'm on my knees. So now I'm gonna try standing up. Okay, a little slow to get up on these things, and try to go a little fast standing. And once again, these aren't meant to go fast. I'm just doing this for fun. Not bad. It's not bad at all. It's pretty equivalent to a regular board in terms of speed. It doesn't glide as well though, not gonna lie. Fiberglass tends to glide a lot better. There's less resistance, and it kind of glides a little bit easier on the surface. All right, everyone, so really big storm coming through. I gotta make this quick. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I hope this video helped you guys choose whether or not you need a stand-up paddleboard, an inflatable paddleboard, or maybe just need a kayak because you're fishing or something of that nature. So definitely leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in that next episode.